Hello again, everyone, and welcome back. You're watching the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel, and today I wanted to present the machine that I recently introduced to you all, and this one was um, in that video I basically talk about the fact that I believe this is one of the most perfectly preserved and likely seldom if ever used sewing machines that I've ever seen. I think I have had my first machine, the 301A that you see on my home channel there, was like this in its condition. I believe it was purchased either by the owner or for the owner, and that person, for whatever reason, never used the machine, or maybe they didn't like to sew. I don't know the full backstory, of course, but I mean, this machine is like new old stock. It's like something that was sold or who knows. I don't know. It's fascinating to me because I've seen so many machines. Other than my Singer 301A, as I mentioned, that machine was like this. It was basically never used. It was purely mint. And then I've had another machine that belongs to a client of mine that I did overhaul for, and it is 99% mint. It's a Necky. You'll see that coming up soon in one of the videos. But I wanted to focus today. Let's pretend that you got this machine. You someone said, "Hey, I know I've got this machine for sale. It doesn't work. It's an old machine. And whatever price you've paid for it." They may, if they're being honest with you, and a lot of people are, they'll say, "Hey, it doesn't work. They'll say it needs adjustment or needs tuning or something." But overall, good condition, and then I guess aesthetically that's true. So you take the machine, and maybe they give it, a very low price, and you think, "Oh, what the heck? I'll try it out." Nothing ventured, nothing gained, and so you purchase the machine, and you take it home, and now you're looking for information on this machine. Maybe you go to the internet, maybe you come to this channel and you say, "Okay, what am I supposed to do with this now? I got the machine, it looks cool, but I'd like to get it running, but don't know anything about sewing machines." When I started this hobby, I didn't either. So don't, you're in good company. So you have the machine, and we're going to kind of do, let's play Sherlock Holmes here. Okay, let's kind of go through different things. We're going to inspect the machine. I was oohing and ahhing over the machine before when I made that first video. But for this one, we're going to go around and look for anything that might be amiss, right? We were looking at the machine because I had never seen a Spartan in the last video. But this one, let's do some inspection, okay? Let's go looking to see if there are any issues or problems. So I don't see anything missing here. There's that thread guide. We have, one of the things I want to do is lift up the presser foot. Now, one of the things to mention, I was able to get this hand wheel to move. When you have a Singer 99, or its less featured, slightly less featured, identical twin, the Spartan, or maybe you have a Singer 66 or Singer 185, which has the same drivetrain as this, but a different body in a lovely mint green color. When you have these specific machines from Singer, if you have the machine out on a table like I do here, and you think, "Well, I wonder if this turns," and "Oh, it's having problems turning," that's because it's not meant to be put onto a table. You cannot use these machines without having them either in a carry case, which I have. The machine is out of the case for the moment, or you need to have it installed in a table or it won't run. And I've shown this in the past. If you look, you'll see that part of the drivetrain component is actually lower than there are basically 2 feet over here, and you have to suspend the machine for that. So don't assume your machine is having a movement problem if you have it sitting on a table like this. That's one thing that can easily happen. So watch the feet. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take our presser foot off. Presser foot. Yeah, our straight stitch foot there, Simanco, lovely condition. I'm taking that off for just a moment because I want to have better visual access. I want us to look at the feed dogs. And we're going to zoom in here for just a moment. And yeah, we've got some thread there. That's another issue and problem. Now, I have what I would suggest you do if you're following along, maybe if you have this machine, you could also have a Singer 99 that still isn't, that you just bought and someone said needs help, or a 185. A lot of the things I'm sharing with you will apply to these and the Singer 66 because they are mechanically twins of each other or cousins. Now, over here on this side, if you have a model that has the back tack and the numbered scale for stitch length, then this will apply. And they would have this on, of course, the 185, but earlier 99s and 66 models didn't have this. Remember, they were in production a long time. So you may only have a big, thick, heavy thumb screw, or almost looks like a knob. And in that situation, you can see if it will turn for you. Okay, doesn't mean it's broken. It could just be old and stuck. But on this one, you want to take this knurled end of the lever here and make sure it's turned all the way to the left, okay, because that will allow you to move it. Remember, when you screw it to the righty tight, right, when you do that, it locks it into place so it doesn't wiggle when you're sewing. So once you have that loose, notice I can come all the way up to back tag. Now, it moves very freely. And now let's go back and look at those feed dogs. Because when you're putting your machine, when you're adjusting your stitch length, right, if I just move up here, it moves the feed dogs. You can really see it when you go all the way up into reverse. You see the feed dogs shifting. That is something you should see. So the good news is that is working, okay, so that's not the issue. I do notice it feels like a little bit loose, and I'm not sure. I may have to adjust that if that's adjustable. Because now if I turn my set knob here all the way in, if I want to set it to, I don't know what I've got, 15, I'll just put it to 15 stitches, right? If I do that, it does work. It will stay in place. And I just did that here. You can see me what I turn. I turned this all the way to the right. I moved it up here in that would be a shorter stitch. And then I snug this down to the right, and it's fine. It holds. So this part is working. In fact, the whole thing may work. I'm just not used to seeing a stitch lever. Usually, there's a little more tension on it, if that's the right word. So we'll take a look at that. That may or may not be the issue. The next thing, the first thing, the obvious thing that you see is all this thread here. Okay, so we're going to remove any of the thread here. The person that had this machine is a very experienced sewer, and she told me it was having some issues. And let's see. So we're going to, in fact, I don't know if she put this needle in. This is a Singer needle, and it's the way the color is marked. I'm pretty sure it's a Singer branded needle, but it's a newer one. So I'm going to take. I'm not going to take the needle out immediately, but I will inspect it. Again, I would now notice that the way, if you have thread, or you don't even need the thread, if you have the needle in place, check to see how the needle is installed. So right here I see a groove on the left. This machine threads from the left toward the right, unlike the Singer 201s that I've been talking about lately. So we know that that's in the right position, right? Because if it wasn't, that could impact our sewing. Now, let's follow the thread path. Even experienced sewers might not thread the machine exactly, but I doubt that. This machine is not that complicated to thread, and again, the prior owner is highly experienced with sewing and vintage sewing machines. So, what you can see here, we have, of course, that's the thread. They took the thread spool off before they got the machine to me. So what I will be doing is, and remember I've said this before, you always want to remove thread in the same direction the machine has been threaded. So I'm not going to pull this thread backwards out. No, I don't want to do that. Check springs do not appreciate that. They like the thread, and this is also true of your bobbin cases I've mentioned to you all before. So we've got the pressure bar in the up position, which is where you want it, and I'm simply going to pull. Now I've got two threads here that are sort of tangled up together. I'm going to cut right here just to get rid of that tangle, so we can get these two separate, because we have a bobbin thread below it. Right now I'm interested in removing the upper thread. I'm just going to pull it again in this. You can see it following, coming as it wants to come out. Okay, so that's out of there. Don't try to pull all of your threads out at one time, because you'll be working against yourself and working against the machine, because remember, this thread below is our bobbin thread. Now, I do not, let's see here. Yes, I can see when I look at the bobbin, and I'll bring you all closer in so you can see what I'm seeing here. I've got some nice, beautiful morning light. So you see the bobbin, and the way this bobbin is threaded, you thread it, the thread hangs off the bobbin on the left side or counterclockwise, and then the thread is entered. I need something other than my fat fingers to point with here so that you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. All right. The thread comes around off the bobbin like this. It goes into this slit, comes around, and then comes back just like you see here. So the sewer, the prior owner, has threaded the bobbin properly. But I'm going to go ahead and remove the bobbin regardless. Okay. And it's a vintage bobbin, so there's no, now I can always, I've shown you all in past videos a really quick way to inspect to see if your bobbin is true as in straight, or if it's warped, because bobbins get dropped and stepped on. Yes, it happens. And I actually had to troubleshoot a machine once, and I did so with or by putting my bobbin on my bobbin winder, and when it's spinning, you can see if it looks like it's wobbling when it spins, then you know it's not totally straight. But I have no reason to think that right now. It's a lovely vintage Singer made back in the day bobbin. Yes, I do geek out about things like bobbins. All right, so next thing we want to do is we want to look. Let's look up here. Is there anything still tangled in there? So I'm going to go ahead and remove the needle plate. And this needle plate is so perfect. I'm being so careful. I don't want to scratch it. This machine is incredible. I swear, it just is so rare in all the years and hundreds of machines that I've had a hand in overhauling. I have to tell you, where are my screwdriver bits? I'm excited because it doesn't happen very often. Okay, I got my screwdriver bits here, looking for the one that best fits these lovely, there we go. I think it fits, sort of. Another reason to always be extra careful, not just with all of your screws, but especially these right here. If you mangle or in any way injure one of these needle plate screws, then you could create what's called a burr, or a sharp edge in your on the screw itself, and that will come back to bite you when you go to put fabric across it, because it can and it will tangle your fabric. It's wanting to be difficult. Why is it doing that? Just trying to get my screwdriver in here. Screwdriver tip, I should say. There we go. These are not particular. Sometimes these things can be very tight. I'm very fortunate that these are not. I don't know if they've been opened before. To properly clean the feed dogs, you really need to remove your needle plate. Um, and I don't believe that this machine was literally never used, but whoever had it didn't use it much, if any, because, I mean, just, wow. It's like a time capsule, like time stood still for it. It's so rare. Let's put these in here so I don't lose those. Okay, let's see what we get underneath. Being very extra careful. Don't want to. Now, that looks clean as a whistle. My goodness. I mean, that looks really clean, guys. Like, good grief. Really? I mean, was there ever any lint in here? I don't know. Again, I know I cannot say for certain, but somebody cleaned it awful well if they did. All right, so what am I going to do? I know that I don't have it in its case right now, and I don't want it there. So I'm going to I'm tilting the machine back just a bit, and let me move our camera for you guys so you can get a little bit more of an aerial view here as you can see. I want you to see the parts that are turning. So when I'm tilting it back just enough to clear the space, and you can see I'm getting nice movement here. This is an oscillating hook. It's not like the 201 where you have a rotary hook that spins 360 degrees. This one, it goes back and forth as it was designed to. All right, not seeing anything in there. I'm not really seeing. I can take our flashlight. If you don't have one with you, a flashlight can be your friend and really be helpful. I want to look, maybe, I know there's a new needle in here, but, could there be an old needle that's down in there somewhere that's causing issues? Now, you could also say, well, how do I even know what the issue is? I don't. I know that the prior owner said, they couldn't get it to stitch properly, but that can be due to many reasons. So, here's our little piece that pops our bobbin up for retrieval. That works lovely. And we'll take our needle plate and set that over here. Let's see. Now, bobbin winders are typically not going to be an issue with stitches as long as they are not interfering with, your hand wheel in some way. That would be very odd. And I was thinking about this bobbin winder assembly that I was telling you all about. Remember, I was saying it was different. It did not have the little piece that pushes down on the bobbin. And I'm pretty sure that's true of the 185. I have to go back and look at my own videos. Because the 185, you don't really hear a click when you push the bobbin winder down to engage it. With the 185, and as I'm seeing with this first Spartan I've ever touched, it has something similar. Yes, there's tension here. You simply push down, it stays. And it turns the bobbin winder tire, and then when you're done, you lift it up. So I think this is similar to the change they made on the 185, but of course the 185 has this little cover to it. It has a different aesthetic, but it's essentially the same piece. All right, well, as I move along here, now it's time, I want to look underneath. And again, this is just a cursory inspection. We still haven't figured out why it's not stitching, but at least we can look for anything initial. We know I know it has a problem because the owner told me it did, but the owner did not know, the prior owner did not know what the problem was, and it's up to us to figure this out. Okay, now remember, these machines are heavy. You don't want them rolling. I've taken an old shirt like this. This is an old soft denim shirt that I'm using as a rag, and I'm going to use this to support the machine. Make sure that if you have any buttons or zippers on anything like this, don't put them near your machine because your machine will get scratched. And even if your machine has doesn't have perfect paint like this one does, you don't want to scratch it, right? You want to preserve what's there. So take extra care. All right, let's go down. We're going to go down below and take a look here. We're not done yet. We have other areas we could check, but I'm going to turn, and of course I have the machine where it can move. It's got free movement down here with the mechanicals. And now this machine has not been oiled maybe in a while. It could use some oiling, but it's not bad. It's moving freely. In fact, this looks like it's had oil. The prior owner could have oiled it. She's pretty good about her machines, taking care of them. So, all right. I'm looking, are there any threads? Typically, if you're going to have thread jams, you're not going to have them over here normally. You're going to have, if there's any issue, you will often see the issue over in here, because this is where your bobbin and your needle thread come in. I want to make sure if I'm seeing something, I don't know what that is. Again, sometimes it's really helpful. You'll want to take, again, even though I've got great light here, I'm just going to take my flashlight here and just kind of look around. Again, sometimes if a needle breaks, the prior owner didn't mention any needle breaks. Oh, look at that. Oh, I found a nice little, that's a big dust bunny, and look what else we've got here. Look at that, guys. Can you see it? I'm going to put this against, let me put this against a lighter background, and it'll show up better for you. Look what just came out. Yes, we've got dust. Sewing machines were designed to deal with sewing when there was lint. You should always clean your lint, but normally lint doesn't immediately stop a sewing machine from running. It can cause problems if it builds up to huge levels, but it's mostly clean in there. I found this little clump, but look at that. You see that little black fiber there? That is a piece of thread. Now, I didn't have to tug on it. It came right out. I have no idea. That could just be a piece of thread, which is a good reminder to all of us, hey, you should inspect and clean your machines. But whether this is an issue or creating an issue for sewing, I can't yet tell you. There's some more dust here. Let's see. And now I'm going to put this flashlight on my head just a moment so I can now, got two hands free. I'm going to look around, see, do I see anything else that could cause a problem? You know, it's funny, you start to realize just how many moving parts there are in sewing machines, and the further back in time you go, you get more parts that move, because again, fewer things are automated, and so there are a lot more things that have to cooperate with each other, and normally they do just fine. But you know, again, I am going to paraphrase what I think Sherlock Holmes said, which is that once you eliminate the impossible, even the improbable could be the answer to the mystery. So forgive me if I didn't quote Sir Conan Doyle's character quite correctly, but that is what I'm remembering. So far, that piece of thread, yeah, that did not need to be there. But again, I don't know for sure if that was the issue. So it's very curious. Now, yes, I'm going to be, we'll be going in and oiling the machine and so forth. Now, let's see here. Let's take a look. We're going to come back up to the front. Get those dust bunnies and that thread piece out of there. Okay. Now remember, this is a very important part of the machine. If your tension assembly is not working properly, you're not going to get a good stitch. Now I'm just looking at this, and I'll be disassembling this to see I have full range. It goes from 0 up to 9. Now let's look at our check spring. Okay, I'm going to do this really gently because I don't want to harm the check spring. So if I take my, let's put this in a better position so you can see a little bit better. I'm going to take this little screwdriver and just very gently push. Right, I'm just going to, or maybe it's just pull, right? And when I do that, look at that. That's a healthy check spring. It's pretty much where I think it should be. Now, if there are pieces missing from the tension assembly, which I don't know that that's the case, if there are, that would definitely also create issues. Okay, what's next? Some of you may have already said, hey, you haven't done this yet. You're right, we're getting to that. We're going to take a look at the side area where a lot of the important business of a sewing machine takes place. You know, it's interesting. I don't know if the prior owner went in and oiled this or not, but I mean, this machine, you know, a lot of times I have to work a lot harder to wake up an old machine like this. So I'm just mystified by the machine generally. Now, I don't know how tight this is, and remember, I've shown you all in the past that whenever you are taking your plate off, hold it with one hand, because if you don't, it could go sliding off. And I'm not even going to fully loosen that screw, but it'll go sliding off, and the last thing you want to do is hurt your machine and scratch it or chip it with heavy steel. Okay, well, what do we see? We see exactly what I thought I might see, which is a beautifully clean area. You know, the rest of the machine I'm going to have to lift up because it doesn't want to turn. Obviously, it's not supported for turning. And everything keeps turning and moving. Now, I'm going to put the presser bar down for just a moment. This is very curious. What do you think? Does anyone see anything that I can't see? Oh gosh. I mean, I've got great light here and I don't see anything. I don't really see any dust. I see movement of parts, and I mean, not even, this could never have been stored in an attic because none of the old oil is even amber in color. Yes, is it possible that someone went in and cleaned off a bunch of oxidized oil? Well, maybe, but still, that's usually for a machine that has had some use. And I swear when you have a machine bed that is this free of scratches, I'm very skeptical that anyone ever seriously used this. I mean, look at that. I'm getting that. That's just mostly dust. Maybe an old piece of paint. I mean, this is ridiculously clean, and it's a wonderful problem to have. And if we look up here, yep, this is the thumb screw that I'm turning that adjusts pressure on the presser bar, and it turns freely. No complaints there. Well, as impressed as I am with this machine's aesthetic, I still am curious to know, obviously it could not have gotten that much use because of the condition of it. And I see brushes here. The brush is hitting the commutator right there. So my brushes have not failed. That doesn't tell me how much brush I have, but it does tell me that I'm not looking over here on the other side. Yep, I have good solid brushes on both ends. So we can't blame the brushes, and yeah, I can take my cotton swab alcohol approach that I always do to see if there's any carbon on the commutator. What do you guys think? I think we're going to have very little. I would be shocked if it comes back with a lot of soot. Then I'm going to really be confused because that really would not happen. So let's get our, I have my 100%, my 99% isopropyl alcohol, and I am not getting it anywhere near this table. There's no way. I do not want to be the one that had to, you know, cry over spilt alcohol and a ruined finish, because it would destroy this finish immediately. All right, I'm going to just do a little cursory exploration with my cotton swab here. And again, you don't want it sopping wet. Just put it in there where some alcohol will be. And I'm going to turn this in better direction, and I'm going to take, I have to reach around to turn, but I'm going to take, and I'm going to need my flashlight. I need about 8 hands for this particular situation. Okay, what am I doing? I'm taking, and I'm going to insert my cotton swab, and I'm going to place, I'm just going to place the head of the cotton swab right on the commutator. And you'll know you're on the commutator because it's a big, wide copper ring. And I'm not pushing down hard. I'm just turning this, and I'll rotate my cotton swab. Well, yeah, there's some. Remember that these brushes, the graphite of the brushes will come off, and they're designed to do that, right? The machine is designed for the motor brushes. Eventually they shed, and that's not a sign that something's wrong. And so what does that tell me? It tells me, yes, this machine was used to some degree, or we wouldn't we wouldn't see what I'm seeing now with these or with that black. I've seen far worse, but here again, and again, you don't want to be too rough with the cotton swab, because you want your precision tip to be used. Precision tips are going to give you a better shot at doing this without shedding. That doesn't mean they won't shed. Now don't misinterpret that. But I like precision tip cotton swabs. I use a lot of the generic cotton swabs as well, but when I'm doing something like this, I really prefer. See, look at that. It's as I keep doing it now, it's getting almost, there's very little left. This end barely picked anything up. And that, folks, that's a pretty clean commutator. I know you can say, well, there was some graphite. Yes, there was, but it doesn't take a lot of use to get some graphite on the commutator, the way these motors were designed. In fact, until very recently, electric motors really hadn't changed that much. There are new electric motors. And by the way, I have plenty of room, but be careful. Don't put your cotton swab on the outside of the motor, or you'll harm the paint. That would not be good with paint as gorgeous as this. All right, one more, and I think that's going to do it. And just so you know, if I had never taken cotton swabs and cleaned off the graphite on my commutator, this machine would run just fine. Okay, remember, I know there's a lot of information on YouTube about this. People have different approaches to how they handle commutators and cleaning them. And I have done the sanding in the past and made them shine, but I don't do that anymore, because I believe that I'd rather have all that glorious copper on there to allow the motor to last a long time. And that's how I'm going to approach this motor, because it's just not worth it to me to lose the copper. I clean a lot of the graphite residue off of the commutator. Yes, there is some in those little grooves in the commutator, but again, I'm not willing to the other issue is you want to be aware when you sand anything, you've got to get that dust out of there. You don't want that dust staying. All right, let's get our isopropyl jar lid back on where it belongs. It's strong stuff. Okay. Well, you know something? As of yet, I see nothing. So what are we going to do? I think it is time to set the machine up into the base of the carry case. I don't need, and I'm going to put it in there so that I can get the mechanicals elevated, and then I'm going to do something you don't see me do often. Because I know the owner of this machine that got it to me, I'm going to plug it in, and I've inspected all the cords, and she would have as well, because she watches this channel. So, and then we're going to just see, what does it sound like? You know, does it run? Does it run normally? When I say run, I mean, you know, does it have anything that's causing it not to run? And that's without thread in it. You know, you got to crawl before you walk, walk before you run. And so that's the approach that I'll take with this one. So stay tuned, everyone. In the next video, I'm going to do just that, and we will see what this machine has to say, good or otherwise. I appreciate all of you watching, and if you have not, please consider donating to the channel. You can click on the Buy Me a Coffee link that you'll see on every video on the channel, including on the homepage, and it will help my efforts to find and purchase more of these machines so we can get them saved, restored, and into the hands of people who really know how to sew, unlike myself. And it really is wonderful because then it gives me more opportunities to share the overhaul and restoration of those machines with all of you. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.